Hi, hello, zdravo.
I could also say Yasu, Peshendete, Zdravite, Bună ziua, and so many other Balkan dialects and subdialects and languages. But nevertheless, we want to say welcome our lovely Balkan people and people from far abroad that want to learn about our lovely region. Who are we having today on it?
Today we are having John Scott Forman.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
I always forget the middle names.
yeah, we don't have it in the Balkans. It's not our thing. The thing is that he comes from the US and he's been living in Turkey for a while. He's been before doing some music business regarding radio and so on. He was a vice chancellor in his college fraternity. Sounds cool. Who knows what he did there? He was also working at Atlantic City Casinos on the New Jersey shore. He was also living with two girls in Manhattan. We don't know what actually was going on back then, but I hope we discover what was the thing behind it. Also, he spent 2 days in Bahrain jail for some reason, some illegal thing we don't want to mention, but quite an interesting personality for sure. And then 25 years ago, he moved to Turkey. And his life is more or less, if you watch the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, Catch Me If You Can, fake it till you make it guy, and he's a lovable guy, and he also likes NFL fantasy league and so on. Nevertheless, cool guy. And on it, would you like to say what we did we discuss in our episode? Just a bit teaser for audience.
Yeah, oh god. So his journey, how he ended up in Turkey, what was the motivation, what does he like about Turkey, also about his comedy, his stand-up comedy, and how did it start. Oh, language.
Yeah.
It was a really good one. So uh, we hope that you will all enjoy and put some nice comments, share, uh,
Let,
communicate with us, and like the
let's
video.
exactly. Let's build up this community. Let's get more of this type of guests, and yeah, with interesting backstories. That's the gist of our show, and let's keep on doing the good work that we do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So without further ado, enjoy the episode and let's start with the intro.
Yeah, let's go. And we are back.
Welcome, our lovely audience. And here we are with our newest guest, Jan or Jean, how we should pronounce it.
Well, my mom calls me Jan because she watches BBC. My father calls me Jan, and I'm American. Like, what's your plan, Stan? So I'm Jan, but in Turkish, it's pronounced Can, and it's a very common name. I look at your name, and in America, we would say your name is like Dusan,
Of
like
course,
Susan.
it can be because it's usually written with specific symbol on top, Dushan, but usually it sounds with a douchebag, douche for shower.
Oh
So it's
my! Once they figured out that you said no, it's not Dusan, it's Dushan. You're gone with the whole douche thing.
yeah, I know, I know.
Have you
Some
been? Have you been to the States before?
unfortunately not yet. Yeah.
But so if you could go to the States for like a 10-day trip, where would you go?
Ooh,
10
good question.
days, 10 days, and you've got some money, but you're
Yeah, yeah.
from nobody's rich, so
Yeah, for sure. New York for sure. I would like
yeah.
New Orleans during this festival period. I forgot the name. Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras, Mardi Gras.
Yes. Las Vegas, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and I would like to go to the Washington State to see the woods there and the big trees and everything in the nature. The Yellowstone Park. That would be like if it's possible
That's
to.
the influence of America on today's world. The first time I went to Europe with a buddy of mine who had never, ever traveled before, he looked at a map of Europe and he said, "Oh, hey, this looks really close. Let's go there. And it's like he's talking about from Madrid to Prague. He goes, well, yeah, let's go up to Prague for the day. And oh, this looks cool. Let's go to Amsterdam. And what you described would take you a very long time.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So I would tell you, New York was your first choice. Why? You didn't say Vegas or San Fran, the forests.
From my point of view, it's the closest one coming from the east to west. So the
Is
first
that
thing-
why? That's the only reason? New York doesn't have any particular...
It's a big apple. It's like a conglomerate of so many cultures and so many references in pop culture. So I was like, okay, I would like to check it out. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a big city. If you like cities, it's a very cool city, but it's not nearly as clean as people think it is.
I know it's not clean. I watched the late night shows and how they trash talk New York all the time. So I know.
I had my cousins just come up from Virginia. They came to visit earlier this summer. And I took them around Istanbul, like all the tourist stuff, but I made a point to take them on the metro and on the public transportation because it's clean. It's nice. It's not like in Berlin. Some of the train, oh man, New York, forget about it. Forget about it. Yeah. So,
Berlin is also not very clean, though.
Where? No.
Berlin is also
Right.
not very
It's
clean.
not. It's not. Parts of Istanbul are actually, it looks really modern and clean and nice and civilized, and people always ask me, why are you living in Turkey? We all want to go to America.
Good question. We wanted to ask you that one for our audience. Why do you live in Turkey and you came from the US?
My answer is always democracy. but it's not where you live; it's how you live. And, there are parts of Berlin that you don't want to live in.
True.
I'm sure there are parts of Serbia where you just don't go, especially with your nice headphones. They might,
Actually, not for Serbia. It's because it's so big country. Actually, it's not so that you could be ripped off or something. It's just poor areas. You don't want to go there, but it's not like slums. But you want to go to some areas where you like to earn good, decent money. So, but not so dangerous or slums as in other countries. But in that case, I still got you what you mean. Yeah.
We America, we've been, crime in America. It's kind of like our national pastime. It's our sport, How many killed today? So they probably bet on how many school shootings there'll be. I don't know.
True. They probably
bet on anything in Vegas, but no, I was in Belgrade before, and I remember being in a part of town where everyone told me they were Roma.
Yeah.
So I started to talk Italian. They don't speak Italian. So they're not from Rome. Hey, what part of Rome? And they've never been to Italy. So I understood they were like what we call gypsies.
Yes.
Yeah, and actually,
derogatory term, yeah.
I met some pretty cool people, but I could see that would be a more dangerous part of town or a part of the town where you wouldn't want to live in. Slums, you say.
I never heard about this thing until I heard somebody coming from the South America, from Chile, Argentina, and so women coming to Belgrade and living there, and they said they never felt so safe in their lives. And I was like, I never pay attention to this. Even when they went to these areas, as you said, as you went there, they didn't have this feeling. Even middle of the night during their work day or whatever, or the weekend, they didn't have these issues. I was like, oh, maybe we are safe after all. I didn't notice this before.
I feel the same way about Istanbul.
Oh,
Absolutely. Really? It's not where you live. It's how you live. And, and we were talking about it just last night at a bar, how, because a guy from New York happened to be at the show last night, and he commented on it. It's different.
Different for sure.
Right. But I live in a good part of Istanbul. I live in Kadıköy. Now, where are you from in Turkey?
Izmir.
Oh, you're from Izmir.
But I was living in Istanbul for 2 years before moving here.
Yeah? Which part?
Pendik.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they got the new train now. They got both the Marmaray train, the metro. I mean, Pendik is actually pretty cool now. And it's near the water. And
for our audience, Onat was on the Asian side, and you,
it's also Asian side, but
also Asian side.
It is in the city, Kadıköy, and Pendik is almost not in the city.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of far from the cool part of town, but at least, he can stagger
Yes.
onto a train from the
Mm.
cool part of town. And the last stop is like, wake up and you can get yourself home.
Yeah.
So it's manageable. But
So
I like living in Turkey. I mean, it's more modern. It's clean. It's funny. It's a really old city.
yeah,
Yet they
it
built
is.
some really modern stuff.
How did you
So
end
it's
up? How did you end up in Turkey from the U.S. here,
wow.
and when?
How much time you got?
We have a frame of hour and a half, but we can like, yeah,
Yeah.
squeeze it in.
All right. Well, now here's the story. My buddy and I went backpacking around Europe for 3 months with the Euro Rail train pass, and
Ah,
we're
cool.
all over the place. And we had all sorts of great adventures. Great adventures. But one of those adventures is in Rome. We wanted to take the train to Venice. My guidebook said, "Be careful of the Italian train conductors. They will try to get a supplement from you of extra money. Don't pay it. Your Eurorail pass works everywhere."
Hmm.
So we got on the train going to Venice at night in Rome because usually you're poor. You sleep on the train and wake up the next morning in the next place.
Mm.
So the conductor came in and said, "Supplemente." And I said, "No, no, no, supplemente." Well, he left. He came back with a uniformed policeman and again demanded a supplemente. And I got my book open and I'm showing him in English the
Mm.
guidebook. This is before cell phones and things. And he said they left. They came back with the policeman and a man in a suit who spoke enough English but not enough to beat me. So no supplement, no supplement. They left. Bah, they were right. I was wrong. It was one of those fast trains where you have to pay extra.
Uh-huh.
Your Eurail pass is like C class,
Yeah.
not first class, it's third class. So we arrived in Venice at 2 o'clock in the morning instead of 8 o'clock in the morning. Everything's closing. There's nothing left. It started to rain. We climbed the fence into an overgrown empty lot with weeds growing 3 meters high. We found an old park bench broken and we turned it upright, dug plastic out of a garbage can, wrapped ourselves in plastic from the rain, and laughed and made a solemn vow that no matter what, 10 years later, we would do something like this again. It's okay?
Okay.
10 years later, we decided to take a yacht trip around the southern part of Turkey.
Okay.
So I came from Italy and Greece and I came to Çeşme, Izmir. The first time I saw Turkey was your part of the world. Onat, where in Izmir did you grow up?
Buja.
Oh, okay. That's a nice
Do you
part of the
know?
country. I do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I came to Çeşme. My friends flew to Istanbul. We met in front of the Hilton in Izmir, in
Hmm.
Alsancak,
Fancy.
right on the right day at the right time. We went down to Marmaris and somewhere on this lovely yacht trip with just our friends on this small boat and a couple of Turkish guys, the captain and his helper, we just sailed along the bottom coast of Turkey for a week, and it was so nice. I said, I don't have to go back right away. I think, I could stay. I've never even seen Istanbul. After the trip, we all went to Istanbul and I said, "Oh, I'm going, baby. Okay, see ya." I said, "I gotta stay for a while," and that was in the summer of 1997.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Where
Fast
were
forward
you in
years.
this?
You're
Right?
still
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I'm still here. I got married.
Uh-huh.
I live in a good part of town. I teach English and I have a good job and everyone likes what we do. And I started doing comedy 4.5 years ago.
Wow, so recently, relatively speaking. Yeah.
I started doing comedy in Turkish. Or not. I had never done it before in English.
Really?
Yeah, my very first time is well, do you know Bekame, the BKM?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the premier
Yeah.
entertainment place. And
Okay.
I had never heard of it. But I walked by one day and actually I went to a comedy show as part of the Comedy Fest with New York comedians. They had a local Turkish guy open
Mm-hmm.
for him. And I never go to comedy shows. I don't even know about them here in Turkey. This guy was so bad. I was so embarrassed. I'm saying, without any preparation, could get up here and do better than this guy. So I walked over to somebody who looked like he was organizing the event, and he told me to go to this BKM place on Wednesday. They have open mic. I know open mic. I watch TV. Open mic. You go, like you, sign your name, 3 to 5 minutes, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't remember what you did, but you had a great time. And you did it
True.
again 6 times in 2 weeks. Mashallah. Keep going. So I went to this BKM place expecting an open mic. It was a slickly produced professional show, 3 cameras, a beautiful place. It turns out they use the name open mic, but it's a fixed show with the top comedians in Turkey.
Wow.
Like the guy who was the first runner-up in You've Got Talent.
Uh-huh.
Show, yeah.
TV stars, people in movies and things. I had no idea. And it's all in Turkish. And I don't understand Turkish.
Okay.
I speak Turkish, but I just don't understand it at all. They talk so fast and so many accents and words I do not know and slang, and I'm lost. I try to follow the stories, but I
This
recognize
is the
that
opposite of the Turkish people. They understand English, they don't speak.
that's what I talk about on stage. It's like, and I really understand you guys, except for it's the complete backwards. If you know 10 words, me, water, want, Wasser, bitte, danke, ich bitte, I did the job.
Sehr gut.
I don't need to say, would you please be so kind as to, if I could trouble you for a glass of water. I just need to, ein Bier bitte,
Mm.
zwei Bier bitte,
Mm.
eins, zwei, drei, vier, bitte. By the time you get to fünf, the number 5 in German, fünf, I think it's the sound of your body hitting the floor. Fünf. That's your limit. How many beers did you have? Fünf.
It is slam, yeah.
But so I don't really understand what they were talking about, but I recognized it was a very professional comedy show. Well, I sat through the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then afterwards, I walked up to the MC guy who was exceptional. And excuse me, do you speak English? And he was with the other comedians, and he started to bust my balls a little bit. But he did speak a little English. And he said something that made all of them laugh, and I have no idea what he said. But somehow I came back with a response that made all of them laugh at him. And so he looked at me and he said, okay, have your agent send me your tapes. What? He said, all right, have somebody just, take a minute video and send it to me. Here's my email. So I did that, and he liked it. And he said, you can come next Wednesday's show, and we'll give you 5 minutes in between the famous comedians. And so I did my 5 minutes. Oh, no. Come on. You don't remember that first time you did it.
Hmm.
because it was pleasure for you. It was nervous. It was excitement.
Yeah.
It was, like your body doesn't remember pain. Well,
Mm.
your body doesn't remember pleasure. So it was just,
Adrenaline.
it was
Yeah.
great for you. And you must have liked it because you did it 5 more times within the
True. Yeah.
next 2 weeks. You're going to do it again tomorrow,
Yep.
right? So it must be doing something for you. So it was a wonderful experience. Nervous, all of that excitement. They liked it. So they said, come back next week. We'll do it again for another 5 minutes. Then the next week for 7 minutes. Then the next week. And next thing I knew, I was a regular Wednesday night guy in that group with all these famous comedians. And it was amazing.
Wow.
It was terrific.
And it didn't
I, huh?
stop since then. And it didn't stop since then.
No, no. And then I discovered that they're doing English comedy. It's just getting started. So I tried that. I translated my Turkish comedy into English.
Usually people do the opposite.
I know, I know. What can I say? I do everything backwards. So yeah,
It's amazing. Yeah.
yeah. So
Uh,
that's how it goes. And it's funny because that was March of 2019. No, no. Well, yeah, 2019, January of 2019
Hmm.
at Beckham at that big famous place, and right away there was a famous. Well, do you know or not Hassan John Kaya?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I know.
so he was a local comedian. Dushan, you haven't heard of this guy in Turkey,
no, no. And
but
most of audience didn't.
of all the comedians that were out in the sector that I had started to just get to know,
Hmm.
there was this one guy who had his own little place and he did his own comedy brand where it was more interactive, very interactive. Well, he always was trying different projects. He would call me, and I tried to help him with his English for a while too, actually. So we got to
Okay.
know each other, and he asked me to record something they were trying to make a pilot. We did that several times, but one of them turned out to be the most successful show to come out of the pandemic. Lots of
Wow.
comedians used social media and used um, tech instead of doing live performances. They're trying to. This guy, yeah, he bought a $40 million house. There are live cutouts of him at Burger King selling their whatever. Uh, so when I mean he's the only guy in Turkey who just popped completely big.
Okay.
So even though you never heard of him, you can get the idea of somebody
Of
who
course, there are
just
lots of
poof.
examples like that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But he was doing stand-up comedy before, right?
He was doing stand up. He was
Okay.
regular. He was always very ambitious, looking for something.
That's
Um,
okay. Yeah, because we heard from our previous guest, she said she's also stand-up comedian in Berlin, and she said you can be a comedian and then being like a TikTok, Instagram famous person afterwards, but the opposite way around doesn't work so good. You know, you started off as a TikTok, make some funny videos, and you need to go into live audience, in front of live audience, and have something said in like at least 5 minutes frame. That's a completely different animal.
right.
And
No, this
yeah,
guy, this guy came up from and built him himself,
yeah, that's the different approach.
and so we recorded one of the first shows
Hmm.
before it got famous. Well, then once they started to be broadcast, he got famous instantly. Millions of people. Well, I had no idea. We were supposed to be at a place on a rainy Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm doing the guy a favor. This is not the first time he's asked me to help him with some kind of project. I'm doing it because I like the guy.
Hmm.
And I brought my wife with me. Can I bring my wife? He's like, sure, because she speaks English and I need help to understand what he asks me.
Hmm.
We got to this place before 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And I don't know if either of you have girlfriends or wives or anything, but try to get your woman anywhere by 8 o'clock in the morning. It's never an easy thing. Okay, so he asked, it's a Turkish show, and he asks you questions. It's like a teacher in a classroom. And he asked the questions and keeps score about people's answers. And he asked me a question in Turkish, and I didn't understand the question. But somehow I won that episode. When it aired, millions of people saw it. And so then suddenly I walk down the street and people are, oh, I saw you. And I have no idea. I'm oblivious. I think they're old students or something. My wife is like, they're looking at you. I was sitting on a metro train, and the guy next to me was playing the video of me on that show.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a real interesting thing. That's my 10
It's a
seconds.
big jump after 4 years of just starting with a comedy and just suddenly.
No, that was at the beginning.
At the beginning.
That was at the beginning.
First year.
If I started comedy in 2019, this happened in 2020, just as the pandemic was getting started.
The social media then was with the content. Yeah, that year.
So. In my very first, so I started at the best place and went up from there. And, thank God I still get nervous before I go on stage because I'm always trying to
be better.
But it's been a fun ride so far.
Good. And I'm really curious, not curious actually, I'm really coming back to what you said, how you started at the beginning. It was basically how we call it, not only Turkey, but in the Balkans, based on inat. Because you saw one guy doing it really bad and said, like, I'm going to do better than this guy. And here you are 4 years later. Yeah, still doing it.
Yeah. That's great.
That's a cool thing. So, but before doing comedy, what was your profession? Like for our audience to understand, which state you come from in the U.S.?
Well, I come from South Jersey, but my home city is Philadelphia.
Oh, nice.
Because
Rocky Balboa.
Rocky, yes. Philadelphia Eagles. Because if I tell people I'm from New Jersey, they always think about New York.
Mm-hmm.
But if you kind of look at the map, it's all in the Northeast. But I'm from the south part of New Jersey, where it's closer to Philadelphia and the Jersey Shore, and we have lakes and trees and things, and it's not so concrete, and it's pretty cool. That's where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
But when I came to Turkey, I came on a Mavi tour, one of those Blue Voyage tours. So I came with a backpack, shorts, and a t-shirt. I was working. I stayed at a youth hostel in Sultanahmet. It was basically one of the only ones. It's in the touristic part of town where the Blue Mosque and the Hagia Sophia and all that stuff, Topkapi Palace. So it's right near there. And I had a great time there, but after about a month, I said, I'm going to go. And they said, don't go. My Turkish friend said, I know this English guy, my friend, who's been teaching English to an agency. I said, yeah, but I'm not an English teacher. And back then, it was as easy as, don't worry about it. You speak English. That's good enough. So I had to go meet the agent. I have shorts and a t-shirt. I went with my Turkish friend to a bazaar. Not a mall. And we went to a Turkish bazaar and to try on a pair of pants, trousers. The guy in the stall stands there with like a sheet. And he's talking to other customers as you're changing your clothes in a crowded bazaar. It was very, fine. I went to meet the agent. Next thing I know, the agent picks me up the next day in his car and drives me an hour outside of the city to this ultra-modern pharmaceutical production companies amphitheater style meeting room where 6 of the directors of engineering are waiting. And the guy hands me a book and says, "Have a good class, hojam. I'll be back in an hour."
No preparation at all. Just like, here you
So
go.
I turned to the first guy and I said, "Hello, how are you?" And he said, "Fine, thanks, and you." So I said to the second guy, "Hello, how are you?" "Fine, thanks, and you." When the third lady said, "Fine, thanks, and you," I went back to the first guy and I said, "How's it going?" And he said, "Fine, you, and thanks." And I realized, put the book down and talk to people. I've been to Belgrade. I know how to say zdravo, kakosi, dobj. I know how to say was ist das. I don't know German, but
Yeah.
I try to teach people. Wie sagen Sie in Deutsch water?
Perfect.
Oh, that's
Say
American water.
German
Water. But H2O, you'll figure out it's Wasser. Wie sagen Sie in Deutsch, please, bitte? Wasser, bitte. You're going to get your water. Bier, bitte. You're going to get your beer. I made a joke about the FUMF, but people think they have to learn languages. And I always tell them, you don't have to learn it. You want to drive a car, you don't want to be an automotive mechanic. You want to know how to use the car and do it well, and safely, and fast.
Yeah,
So
they usually say, I need to learn the grammar, then I will start using it. No, start using it, and eventually, it will
have
have
the
the
grammar.
place.
Dushan, did you study Serbian in school when you were a little kid?
I mean,
Did you?
we had Serbian classes, but I mean,
Of course.
yeah.
Okay, you had math, you had science, but you always had grammar like we had English. Onat had years of Turkish classes in addition to all the other things at school.
Yeah.
But when you're 4 years old, before you go to school, man, they can't shut you up. You don't know your language. You grow up doing it. We're smart. And then suddenly they tell us, "Oh, no, that's not the way. You must learn the grammar." Oh, come on. Right?
Although
So,
you've been using it, but now you need to learn and
yeah,
like why
so,
you're using it.
Sure. So, people are just afraid of making mistakes. And it's like, okay, some of those mistakes are funny. And I've always noticed the humor in the language mistakes. And so I guess my comedy kind of just evolved from my observations of life, which I think isn't that what comedy is? 99 people look at it and say that's shit, and one person laughs at it.
It's all about the perspective and how you perceive it and how you later on describe it. That's
but the thing is, we all have that perceptions. It's just that we didn't really think about it. And so when that one person says it on stage and people laugh, well, that must mean that it's something we all shared and that, I never thought of
you
that.
just connected the dots. But
Sure.
you're the one
So-
previously saw it, the whole picture.
Actually. So that's the process. And a lot of my comedy just comes from all of the language mistakes people make.
That's
The
good.
language mistakes I make as a foreigner coming to Turkey. My Turkish friends trying to speak English. You in Germany, there must be some funny moments where you, without any German, somehow survived that interaction.
Yeah. Also, like, instead of
I
saying
also
What?
I also tell this on the stage. It worked well. So I was in bus, and in Turkish we have affedersin, and in German there's affedersin, which has totally different meanings.
Wait,
Affedersin
what
is
is the
goodbye.
Turkish meaning? Affedersin.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Okay, what does it mean in German?
In affedersin, it is
Similar
goodbye.
sounding. Yeah, but
It's goodbye.
But Yeah. So I was in a bus and I was rushing to the door, and accidentally I set people off. It has seen.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone was looking me in like, is this guy's like nuts or something?
Yeah.
Well, it's just funny. If you've tried, um, Dushan, do you speak Russian?
A bit. Yeah.
A bit. Like,
Mm.
okay, it's not just alien words. You can see things, a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's because of my Slavic origin. Plus, we lived in Lithuania, so whenever people could not speak English, they were switching from Lithuania to Russian. So I was
Yeah.
like forced to like kind of connect it. It was like not so hard as I imagined. Yeah.
There was a comedian here in Istanbul for the past year and a half, a Russian guy named Denis Smirnov.
Mm-hmm.
He'd been on television in Russia. He's an established comedian, and he continued, but he started doing English here in Istanbul, and he did great. He just moved to Belgrade 2 weeks ago, he and his wife. Last I heard, they were looking for a place to live, and they're going to stay there for a while.
Mm.
Do you do comedy too, Dushan?
I did before in Serbian. Then I started doing like a hostings in English for introduction for some network events and stuff. And I did it in English. And my impression was like I'm far better in English than in Serbian, because in Serbian I tend to overdo it, and in English I'm just like plain simple. And I guess people like it more. So I'm also trying to restart it. And like Onat is now my role model. He restarted it. Last time I did was like a few years ago. So I hope to do it again soon.
Well, I guess you'll have to inspire him. But your English is terrific.
Ah, thanks. Thanks.
Have you? You
Yeah.
say you've been to Turkey many times, right?
Yeah, I could say like 3 to 5 times. Yeah.
Well, when was the first time you came to Turkey?
I was 10 or 11, so
Oh, so you came with your
not-
family.
Yeah, with my family. Last time I was when I visited Onat, it's already been like
How do you know
4 or
each
5
other?
years.
2018.
2018.
In
Yeah.
2017, we were in Erasmus in Lithuania.
In Lithuania?
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect place to meet.
Really?
and
What
Turkey.
what city were you in?
Yeah.
Vilnius.
Capital.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear it's pretty cool looking place. I hear, did you like it?
If you have friends, it is.
Yeah. Usually
Well-
foreign friends. Yeah.
Yeah?
It's a perfect city,
Mm.
but different culture. So you need people
Yeah.
to have fun.
You mean different culture, like they're a little closed and not
Yeah,
warm
yeah.
and welcoming? Yeah, that's true of a lot of the former Soviet Russian.
Mhm.
I've noticed it in Georgia and in Bulgaria and not in Estonia though. Have you ever been there? Have you ever
Yes,
been?
I've been there. My
I didn't,
impression is
but-
because they're connected with Finland so much, and maybe it has some impact. I don't know, but they're like really influenced by Finland culture, so maybe. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have anything against it. Just our audience to understand against their culture. It's just their thing. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not, and nothing against it. Yeah. Usually
No,
people
that's
tend
fine.
to trash talk them. They're closed, they're cold and stuff. It's their thing. They like it. They have nothing against it. So why should I trash talk them because of that? It's not my thing to comment on.
No, no.
Or
no,
to make
no,
fun
that's
of.
fine.
That's another thing, but not
That's
to
fine.
trash
But
talk.
like Onad said, it's glad that you had friends. But wait, so you both coincidentally did the same Erasmus program at the same time in the same place. Did you guys live in the same housing together?
Mm-hmm. Same
Yeah.
floor.
and then-
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you liked each other right away. Were there others in your group? Did you have a couple others, or it was just you guys?
Terrific question. Honor, will you may?
Well, yeah, we have a friend group with around 10 people.
No, all from that time.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Well-
We still have the Facebook group, still talks.
Yeah, it's called Habibi Group.
Yeah, the Habibis.
Habibi group. Why? Where are all these people from? Don't tell me. What?
Argentina, Italy, Palestine, so Turkey, Serbia, Bosnia, Slovenia, Jordan,
Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic,
Shit, really?
Netherlands, and US.
Mostly underdogs.
one from the
Mostly
US.
underdogs and some Europeans and Americans.
No, underdogs. No, the South
No, no,
Americans, the Dominican. No, an excellent group of people.
That's why it is
Same
underdogs.
mindset.
The other parts of the world is not that fun.
Do you
Our
have
friend-
to be? Do you have to be smart to get into the Erasmus program, or do you have to just have money?
No money, no. I mean, it's, if you're good
EU
enough student,
pays a bit.
depending from which country you come from. So it has different. If you're directly from the EU, you get less money. If you're Europe but not EU, you get more money, but you don't need to pay anything. If you're from Turkey, it's a different system, so you need to pay something. So it's depending where you come from.
I
Hmm.
didn't know Argentinians, Dominicans, people from the Western Hemisphere participated very much in the Erasmus. I've
It's
only known, my Turkish friends who've done Erasmus, and
mm,
wow. Do you
good question.
guys so if you went to Argentina, you have a
Mhm.
friend and a place to stay, don't you?
Yes,
And
Yeah.
Italy and Dominican Republic and all these. Oh,
it's
do
a
you
But
great
ever?
sometimes
choice.
someone is traveling somewhere, and by coincidence, one of us might be there. So we always check in the group, like, is there, if there's anyone is there.
It's like a
See, I
It's
would
mini.
say by
it's really
coincidence,
something.
I
Yeah.
would go there if I were let's say, oh not let's say you were back in Istanbul, and
Mm-hmm.
if I were flying from Argentina to Berlin, I would make myself a layover in Istanbul for a day or two to hang out with you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
True.
How many years ago was this Erasmus program
Oh,
together?
2017.
2018, you said
Six years
2017.
ago.
2018, Dushan visit me on Izmir.
Well,
Mm.
when my buddy and I were wrapped in dirty, wet plastic, sitting on a broken bench with weeds growing up like trees around us, laughing in the pre dawn rain of Venice. Oh, by the way, it was fucking cold coming from the Greek islands where it was 37 degrees,
Okay.
and laughing. And we made a vow that 10 years from now we would meet and do something.
That's
Well,
amazing.
maybe your group should arrange to all meet in Vilnius or a better place. Uh, 10 years from 2017, like you've got a few years, and make a plan and people put it in their lives. They'll bring their husbands and wives. God forbid they bring their kids. No, no kids.
No,
But
no.
but now that's something to think about.
Good idea. We have like this mini, we call it mini Habibi reunions, like where we meet like 4 or 5 of us. It's actually more than 10 of us in a group, but we also talked about having like a big reunion one day. But yeah, 10 years from now, from 2017, it's a good idea. I like it.
Yeah,
We should
because
propose it in our
to come from
meetings.
Argentina, okay, that's a big deal. You have to
Yeah.
plan
Mm-hmm.
for a year that's what we're doing, and save the money and block your time. That sounds great, but you do get together.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
we do.
often do you and Onat get together?
Oh, it's a good question.
I visited him in Hamburg two
Mm,
months ago, I guess. But
Wait,
before
you
that,
you met in Hamburg?
oh,
he lives in Hamburg. He
Oh wait,
live in Berlin.
Dushan, are you in Hamburg now? I thought you were
yes.
in Belgium. I'm sorry, you're in Hamburg.
Yeah, I'm Hamburg for the last 2 years or so. Yeah.
Oh, how's your German?
Pretty. Yeah, I could say it's good. It's good. Sometimes I feel like I'm perfect. Then somebody comes along with slang or some local dialect or something, and or some expressions. I know word by word what he said, but I don't know what he meant altogether. So then I got really
Yeah.
disappointed in myself. And the next day, somebody comes along and he's really good in speaks without any proper, complexities. And I'm like, oh, I know it again, perfect. And then I can also have a conversation at the same level. So it depends from person to person, but in my impression is that I'm relatively good.
Well, now Onat's only been there for 4 months. You've been here
Yeah,
for
yeah.
more than a couple of
Mm-hmm.
years. So,
Mm.
so, but did you study German or did you
Yeah, yeah. In school, I learned the grammar basis.
Duolingo? What?
Yeah, in school, learned the grammar basis in high school. Then
Oh,
on my own for quite a while with Duolingo, lots of videos, clips, and whatever. And 2 months before I moved here, I had like a how can I say intensive course with one teacher, one on one, and it helped me a lot to restart. And I'm also pushing myself with my colleagues in surroundings to only speak in German. And after 2 years, I see the results. I didn't switch to English. I didn't have this mindset
He's
to switch
he's
to.
he's he's like an extra smart when it comes to language. He
well,
also can learn
Chapeau.
other.
he speaks Serbian as his native tongue. He speaks English fluently. He knows a little bit of Russian. I mean, if you threw him in there, he wouldn't sink. He learned some basic stuff. I mean, language is like math.
Mm,
They
I love
say,
it.
Mhm.
"Are you good at mathematics?"
Yes.
Are you good at music? Do you play music?
No, but I would like to learn a few instruments like ukulele and banjo for some reason. Don't ask me why.
Banjos, 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 pretty cool
Yeah,
actually.
I
But
got
the
really
Steve,
hooked when I read the book from Steve Martin, his book of stand
Steve
comedy.
Martin's terrific.
Yeah.
My cousin, who I'd mentioned before, came to visit. He just retired. He's a professor of music at
Oh.
and department chair of music at a university. He had played at Carnegie Hall, classic piano.
Mm-hmm.
But he's
Wow.
taken up so he's a music guy. He took
Yeah.
up the banjo. He took up the banjo, and he's quite good. He was also inspired by Steve Martin.
Really?
Absolutely. So good luck on your journey with the banjo. They say that musical ability, and just because you don't play doesn't mean you don't have it. You've just
Mm.
never done it.
Mm.
Musical ability, mathematical logic ability,
Mm.
and languages are all in the same part of the brain. The neurology
Hmm.
is similar.
True.
So, but Onat, he was curious about learning German. He
Hmm.
he brought it around him, and that's what I try to teach adults when I work with them today. They're
That's a good
busy.
approach.
They're professionals. They learned English, but they never
Mm.
really did it. And then for 10 years after learning it, they never used it
Hmm.
You should
until
nurture it.
suddenly, what?
Yes, please, please. You want to say
Yeah,
something?
suddenly they just got taken over by a British corporation, and now they have to report to somebody in London,
Mm.
and because they know the grammar, but they never really used it.
Yeah.
So
What you said, you should nurture it as with a child. If he or she has a curiosity about some specific thing in a language, then you should push it fully. Like if I tell to people, you don't learn the language like fully, like from scratch, like from scratch, but meaning every topic. No, if you like music, if you like history, then read only those topics, and eventually you'll divert in some other areas. Like I was out learning German in the beginning, they were forcing me to learn about. There's some expression called patchwork families in Germany, where for some reason it's from this perspective it sounds like an orgy or like a mix what up like a ex-wife with this husband with some ex fiance living together and one child with this one and the aunt is living together. It's a mixture of bunch of stuff going on in one house, and for some reason in a lot of German books they're forcing this topic, and for me it's boring and it's really it doesn't help me a lot. But then when I read something about, I don't know, sustainability, energy, I don't know, about nature and stuff, those topics I like watching videos, National Geography, and if are those in German language, then I will definitely be interested in understanding what they're saying. But not if you force me some corporate thing. Maybe later, when you're good enough, you can switch to those areas. But that's the good thing. And people just give up because I don't like the language. They force me to learn this and this. Then learn what you like, and then eventually it will come to its place.
you must be really smart to be able to, at that point in studying German, to understand the words and the grammar enough to realize the content of that reading is boring. I'd still be lost with ich. so
And
so 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 what you just talked about is past the level of learning in English it's I am, he is, we are, I was, were, you're already at that. Wow.
it's
Oh
just
no,
comes.
do you know any other language? Do you know any other language?
No, English and Turkish,
Yeah.
everything.
But you were learning quite a lot of everything in Lithuania. You were trying Russian. You were trying what
Oh
else?
yeah, I was taking class in Lithuanian and also Russian at the same time, and I was going to Lithuanian class speaking Russian and Russian class speaking Lithuanian by accident.
Switching the.
Are they similar? They're similar.
Not at all.
No, but I was mostly drunk and confused.
Sounds like an awesome time in your lives. It
Yeah, it
totally,
was amazing.
totally does.
It was
When I
amazing.
was when I was in seventh grade in middle school, we had 6 weeks of French class, 6 weeks of Spanish, 6 weeks of home ec. I don't know, 6 week little semesters of things.
Mhm.
So all I got from that is Je m'appelle Jean Clooney. C'est aujourd'hui lundi. I got that much French.
Okay.
And in Spanish, yo vivo en la calle Colon. Okay, so that's what we got. But my dad had a friend that he met when they used to hang out on the beach in South Beach, Miami Beach, Florida. And they were friends. So one guy lived in Mexico City. Well, they got older, they got married, they had kids, and he had a son, a year older than me. When I turned 13, no, when I was 12, my parents sent me to Mexico City to spend a few weeks with them. What an adventure. But before I went, I didn't know any Spanish. Knifo, forco, yo vivo en la calle Colon. I mean, that's
Casa con casa.
No, I didn't know any of that. 6 weeks in 7th grade. Who's paying attention?
Okay.
I figured out that all you have to do is ask people, like a little kid, hey, what do you call this? What do you call that? How do you say, I want that? How do you say, I don't like that? And so right away, they told me, and it doesn't take much to reverse engineer the language. If it's like, I want beer, how do you say water? I want water. How do you say napkin? I want napkin. Wasser, bitte. How do you say thank you? Danke. My job is done. So I started to do Spanish. Within a few weeks, I'm like talking to girls. It was doing great. Then I came back home and I went to, high school. I took a Spanish class. The very first week of Spanish class was tengo, tenga, tengas, tenemos. Come on, go, went, gone, begin, began, begun. So I lasted the first week thinking this doesn't make sense to me. The next week, we had a substitute teacher. The regular teacher was sick for a whole week. The substitute teacher was this tall, young guy with long hair who is an American studying at the University of Salamanca, Spain. So we walk into the classroom on Monday and you see a substitute, and then you see a cool-looking substitute, and we're like, yay, party time. And he says in Spanish, he said, good morning, everyone. Please have a seat. What's your name? Everyone was shocked. And he did not speak a word of English in the entire week, that 5 days. By Wednesday, football jocks in the cafeteria are going, hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué pasó? The people are shouting Spanish, using Spanish. Mine are cursing each other in Spanish. He taught us something. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. Do you know that one?
Of course.
Okay. Onan, what's the Turkish version of eeny, meeny, miny, mo?
I know the
I'm
Serbian
not
one.
sure if we have the exact
Sure
one,
you do.
but,
I'll be sure you
It
do.
sounds similar.
Portocali. Come on, let me hear it.
yeah,
Portocali. Let me
portakal
hear it.
soy.
Let me hear it. Come on, do
Okay.
it.
Portakalı soydum, başucuma koydum, ben bir yalan uydurdum.
Yeah, that's it.
I forgot the rest.
I don't know the rest either, but I know that part.
We have also
that's
in
what the
Serbian.
kids. Now, what do you have? What do you have in Serbian for the same thing?
I don't know the whole thing, but like eci peci pec, ti si mali zec, a ja mala prepelica, eci peci pec, something like that.
Oh, it sounds great. Both of them sound just like, what is eeny, meeny, miny, mo? Catch a tiger by. Have you ever looked at the words? What the fuck does that mean, right?
Doesn't mean anything.
So this Salamancan kid who never spoke a word of English, he taught us something that to this day, it's Pin marin de don pingüe, cucara macara titera fue, yo no fui, fue tete, pegale que fue. It's the same thing in every language, right?
Amazing. I never imagined. It's in Spanish, right?
And that was Spanish, right?
Yeah.
And then the next week, The regular teacher came back and he goes, "Where were we? Okay, irregular verbs in the pluperfect preterite." I dropped the class right away because I figured this is not the way to learn a language. I mean, I discovered a language where you could try to love girls in that language. You know, talk about food in that language. Why do I need to learn the grammar of that? I don't want to learn how to build an engine. I want to drive a car.
Hmm.
You know, I don't want to study the rules and regulations of football. I just want to play. How do you play? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody looks at the language thing wrong.
True.
You
And I'm
know,
guessing that's your approach how you teach people in Turkey in English, right?
well, they kind of I think it makes sense. They seem to like it, and a lot of people that I've worked with, I've been here a long time now,
Mm-hmm.
and so many of them have just reached the level of success that they've wanted to,
That
and
sounds
they
great.
live in different countries, and they're living their lives and are able to do their jobs in English that's a little better than it used to be.
It must be satisfying to
Well,
hear
sometimes
this.
it is. I get some real positive feedback from people sometimes. Like, hey, remember me?
Mm.
I'm the global chief of fats and oils for Colgate Palmolive, and I just got the job in New York. Thank you. That's.
That's a big deal.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
sure. I mean, you want to make a difference, right?
for sure. How was your road with learning Turkish language?
Well, see, I haven't really learned it. That's my problem, and I
But you do
still don't.
comedy in Turkish language. That's
I
good
can,
enough.
because I know what I want to say, and I know how to use enough of the right words and the right grammar. It's not
Mm.
always the right words, but people laugh at my mistakes.
Hmm.
It's not if they understand what I'm trying to say.
That's good. But how long
But I don't.
it took you to come to this level of being able to go around in any place in Turkey and have a proper conversation in Turkish? I guess your wife helped you a lot in that
Well,
sense.
no, we're fairly new, but like
Mm.
like like like
By the way,
you
you
said.
married on the stage, right? In I like where I saw the pictures.
Yeah, well, no, we got married at the wedding place,
It
Yeah,
was a
but then we
you
proposal.
had
had you
our
had the
party.
ceremony
Well, we
party.
met. We met at ILOC.
Uh huh.
I
It's a
met
comedy
her
club.
first time I saw
Yes.
her. She
Mm.
was on stage at ILOC, and so we thought that would be the right place to have a
Ah,
wedding
so
party
she was a
too.
comedian as well.
She still is. In
She still
fact,
is. Oh,
today is such a busy day. Not only is it her birthday, we have a 7 o'clock show tonight
oh, nice.
on her birthday, and then I'm bringing her back home after the show. Everyone will be here. It's for a surprise party.
Uh huh.
Um,
Great.
if I
Good luck.
send you, I'm gonna WhatsApp you a picture
Okay.
of the flyer for tonight, and
Yeah.
I don't think any of us are ready, but we'll have fun tonight. It'll be fun
Enjoy.
because she's
Enjoy.
gonna bust my balls.
That's always a good mix. If you're gonna
Oh
do
well, she's
you're gonna do
gonna
a
bust.
duo
What?
comp.
It's a two split
Yeah.
show. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
nice.
can you see that? Yeah. It's a
Yeah, we can
split
share us for
show.
audience. Yeah. Mm.
Oh wait, it's a split show. So she said it's my birthday. So she wants to go last. So I'm gonna go first
Hmm.
and it should be fun because we'll tell our stories.
You're doing it both in Turkish, right? She and you
Yeah,
as well. Mm.
we're
Okay,
doing it in
nice.
Turkish.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no,
Love
one
your
of you
language.
said that you surrounded yourself with local people. Was that you, Dushan, or was that you on that? Wait,
It's I didn't say it, but it's also my impression that the best way to learn language is when you're in the area if you're able to have it. Yeah, some people are not so lucky. Yeah, but
well,
you got
I,
immersed
I
in the culture.
surrounded myself with Turkish people all around me when I
Me
came
too.
here. So,
What a surprise!
yeah, no, I try to just be involved in the local. I had my foreign friends, but I didn't seek out Americans. There weren't that many. I just, had a Turkish girlfriend. I just tried to get into the culture right away,
Mm.
and you pick up words. So if my example was water, please, beer, please, well, then I started to get more words and started to put it together,
Mm.
and
That's the approach that I usually use when I travel somewhere. I spend some time in some place, and I like when I visited Onat, and also before Onat. Do you remember what we usually do when we go around? Because in Serbian language, not only in Serbian language, in Bulgarian, Romanian, so all the ex-Ottoman lands, we have a lot of Turkish borrowed words and indirectly Arab borrowed words. Arabic born words. So in the end, we use it quite a lot in our everyday language back in Serbia, for instance. And I'm always curious because I notice it doesn't sound so Slavic to me. We also have German borrowed words, etc. And I always ask Onat, what does it mean in your language? And he says, I don't know, kerpic. Some people say kerpic in Serbia. It's basically for roof tiles. And like, yeah, we say the same. Like, also there's some curious things like, for a towel, how it's used nowadays on it, in Turkish. Towel.
Havlu.
Havlu. But in our languages, it's usually used peshkir or beshkir, which is really old, archaic expression in Turkey, but we still use it. And I had made a joke like, when you left the Balkans, we didn't update the app, so we still use the old version. So
what's that word? Peshkir?
peshkir, it's towel.
It is an old Turkish for havlu, towel.
Oh, it's an old Turkish word. It's not an old curse word or
No, 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 no,
something.
no. But I think it's actually Arabic one because they still use it in Arab lands. It's called Beshkir. So they don't use P, they use B. And it's also fun. We had like one situation, like I was reaching up for my pocket, and then in my head, it doesn't sound Slavic. So I was like, probably it's Turkish. I wanted to ask on it the word, how do you say pocket? But in my head, I switched immediately. I said, how do you say Jap in Turkish? Oh, no, sorry. And he was like, yeah, we say it exactly as you said.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? See, because you had that information in your head.
Mm.
You had known that information. You just at the moment when you wanted to access that information, it got mixed. Like the signal kind of, there's a bug, right?
Yeah, true.
Right. And so that's the difference between knowing and doing. We do things so much faster than how we can access the data, So it's like you drive your car on autopilot, and you don't drive it, like you did
Actively.
the very first time you got on the autobahn. So speaking is like that, and the more often you do it and engage in the language, the easier and faster that happens. And that's what I try to encourage people to do. But
it's always also good to make friends and to communicate more, to like, how can I say, to be more connected with a new culture. I do it all the times because I love cultures and etymology and so on. And my girlfriend makes fun of me all the times. Like some random person comes from Mongolia and I would say some expression in Mongolian and they will instantly love me, so to say. And she's like, there we go again. And then she's like rolling her eyes and like, yeah, I'll step aside.
Yeah, I think you and I must have a lot in common because
You do the same, right?
our women have the same. Yeah, but wait a minute. I'll tell you what. Okay, wait. I was working at Can I mention names of things?
Yeah.
You know, Bayer.
Yeah.
Okay, Bayer.
German
It's
company.
a big pharmaceutical company. So I was teaching the directors of Bayer here in Turkey, and the country head was a really nice German doctor, and he just got promoted to Southeast Asia, China, Japan, Korea. That was his new responsibility. That's huge. He was based out of Tokyo. So before he left Istanbul, I shared with him my theory of, was ist das? Wie sagen Sie in Deutsch? ¿Cómo se dice en español? And so I told him what I had learned. It was, how do you say in Japanese? Nihongo dekore wa doemasu ka? Please. Dozo. Nihongo da koro wa doemasu ka? Thank you. Arigato.
Arigato.
So he just learned. Well, I think the theory makes sense. He went to Tokyo with nothing other than, how do you say? He said they were so thrilled that he would want to know how to say please and thank you.
Mm.
They bent over backwards to help and support this guy. Now, think when a new boss comes in, you got, and he was so successful.
Mm. Yeah.
He got moved up to the very next place, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is the next chairman of the board of this company. And it's a big German company.
Good example.
Only because, he was able to, like you said, people feel good about helping you with the language.
Always.
Right.
The only difference I see, and I talked to this to one many times, I compare Germany and France because my company I work out with French people, and like in Germany, the approach is when you speak German, they're so like grateful that you speak German, because I think Germans are the only language, the only people that have this expression. It's expression, Deutsche Sprache, schwere Sprache, meaning German language is tough language, which I haven't heard in any other
Say
culture
it
saying
again.
Deutsche Sprache, schwere Sprache.
Sprache.
It's language.
Yeah, but one is language and one is tough, difficult, right?
Schwere is difficult, yes. And
Yeah.
haven't heard this in any other language or culture saying for themselves. I never heard in Serbia somebody saying, "Hey, Serbian language, tough language." But they have in their mindset in Germany that this expression, everybody knows this expression. So meaning
Okay.
when somebody comes from abroad and they start speaking it good or bad, they're still grateful. They're like, "Oh, you speak it. It's a good success. Keep on doing it. We understand you." Sometimes they switch to English, but you don't allow them. If you want really to learn, just keep on doing it. But like in France, it's a completely different story, because they're used to being like so it's like perfect language. French language is amazing. So when you come there, and even though you're C2 level, if you don't have the proper accent, they're like still like, nah,
Sorry. Yep.
sorry, I cannot employ you. You're not like, it doesn't sound like natural. And like, come on, like I work in a company. It's I think I saw multiple times. It's called Airbus. We say it in English Airbus. In most of languages say it Airbus. But when I went to France and a taxi driver was driving me, and I said I work in Airbus, and they're like, excuse-moi, where? Like I said Airbus. Sorry, Airbus, and I was like, oh, okay, Airbus. Airbus. Oh, okay. Like, come on.
There's this famous Turkish comedian. As high up as I mentioned, that guy Hassan John went during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
There's another guy that's so far above him. He's like the iconic number one comedian, Cem Yilmaz.
I think I know him as well. I'll not mention him.
Yeah, I mean, he's global.
You watch his movie?
I watched his movie actually, Gora, right?
Oh, really?
Gora, Turks in Space. Yeah, amazing movies.
I wish a lot of his stuff didn't have subtitles until recently. What's available on Netflix? Otherwise, I couldn't watch it. There are no subtitles. But Cem Yilmaz had this bit where he talks about going to Italy, and he asks for at the salad at the restaurant. He said, "Excuse, balsamic." Luigi, balsamic. No, today, balsamic. Oh, balsamico. Yeah.
Big difference, huge difference. Yeah.
You ever hear of a French comedian named Gad Elmaleh?
I think, he's also world famous, I guess. He was mentioned before.
I'd never heard of him before until I saw his Netflix special, American Dream. And I assign it, I give the link to all my students because he's a famous French comedian. I think he's Moroccan descent.
Yeah.
But he's trying to do it in New York, and nobody heard of him in America. And he makes stories about the language. He makes jokes in his trailer that I show my students. He's talking about, is it syllable, syllable? Is it? How do you know the pronunciation? The teacher says you have to know where the stress is in the word. He said the stress is everywhere. And as somebody learning and playing and living in a different language, he has some really funny stuff. I don't watch comedians very much. It's just all new in my life. But I like this guy. I don't watch stand up very much. Oh, not do you? Do you watch everybody on Netflix and YouTube?
No, I only watch like my favorites, like Louis C.K., Seinfeld.
And that's it. I
What
guess
else?
you have a third one. I know those two that they here his favorite ones. I guess there's a third one.
I
forgot
watch
which
I
one.
watch the small like short videos, the others that I follow on Instagram, but not like I used to watch. Like I used to watch all stand-up comedy
You used to
that I.
watch, hour-long specials from
Mhm.
different comedians. Why did you stop?
One reason I am not enjoying as much. I am analyzing.
What do you mean? Because even though you started doing stand up 2 weeks
But yeah,
ago,
but I didn't start
it's been
writing it.
cooking. It's been cooking.
Yeah.
So what do you mean you critique them? What do you mean?
No, I just thinking about where it goes, trying to guess. We also talk with the Dushan with this about the same problem of us. He also having the same problem.
What do you mean? Wait. What is the problem?
I don't enjoy anymore. I'm like analyzing all the time, and when I find it funny, I'm like typical German because this is how Germans usually prefer doing seeing comedy. They watch it, they're like, "That's a good one," and no laugh.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard about the
Yeah,
Germans. But that's why I want to come to Berlin and do a show for the new wave of Turks.
Please do.
Please do it. Yeah.
The new wave of Turks.
Yeah.
There's a female Turkish comedian. She will be also our guest tomorrow.
Oh.
Actually,
Goes there.
Dilara
She's Berlin based.
Erdemir.
Ekinci.
I don't know her. She lives there.
Yeah, she lives in Berlin, and now she's trying to build the community in Turkish stand-up here. So
For Tuesby Bear or separate?
no. I mean, maybe she can do collaboration, but I think Tuzbiber doesn't have intention to do every time.
Okay.
Because it is hard to do committing here.
Is Tuzby Bear like salt and pepper?
Yeah,
that's what it means. That's what it means. But
again,
but
language.
That's a good. That's a good observation though, where they go, yeah, that was funny. Oh, that was good. Yeah.
That's organization, Tuz and Pepper. Like,
but you're not German.
Who?
You.
Me? No, I'm Serbian.
Right. Well, in that case, when you watch comedy, you're sitting there like a German going, no, that was good. No, he should have done that differently.
That's a recent my interpretation of how I look at comedy, because I didn't notice this, because also one of our previous guests, Jana Fezi, she said that when she did comedy in Germany for the first time, it's not the same when you do it in Prague and in Berlin, because in Prague they tend to just laugh normally, but in Germany you don't hear it so often, although they're also entertained as well, the ones in Prague or somewhere else where she went. The problem is that they don't laugh, they also like approve what you said, like that's a good one, and doesn't mean that they are not satisfied, they are, but just different reaction.
And that would be hard for me as a performer, because it's like a feedback loop, and if there's silence at the end, even though smiling engaged faces, if there's then that would be strange. I don't know what to say.
For me as well. Yeah, I didn't do it for now in Germany, but I kind of resembled myself, because also what Tona said, I'm analyzing now also on social media, on some specials, whatever. I don't watch them so often. I don't want to get influenced as well. I want to be original when I write jokes. I write jokes every day. I have sketches in my phone. Like,
do you really? Mashallah. They come to me when I'm walking on the street, thinking in my head, I'll stop and make a note on my phone and keep going. But
I do the same, yeah.
I also have the notebook, and I do like, I'm walking and it comes, and I just stand there writing.
That's a good approach.
Oh no. The, this is a Turkish-based joke. The word yavaş means
Hmm.
slow,
Yes.
slow. The mayor of Ankara's last name, his name is Mr. Yavaş. Okay, so his name means slow.
Mm.
My wife and I were in bed one night, and she said, Yavaş, Yavaş.
Okay.
I started laughing. Because, now I did not reach for my phone and make a memo in my comedy book, but
A bit disrespecting.
I remembered it. So now on stage, I say my wife is from Ankara and I understand her politics because when we're having sex, she'll yell out, Yavaş, Yavaş. And the audience takes a couple of seconds before they get it.
Yeah, it's a really good connection. Is it
So,
yavaşluk? We say
huh?
in our language, the Balkans, in our other cultures, we say yavaşluk, which means usually a bad thing for something that's not so good. It's I don't know how to explain it, but is
But
exactly
it's
And
not connected to slow.
not no.
maybe
Yeah.
laziness.
Maybe laziness, yes. But for instance, Jan, I notice also some words besides the ones that are like not updated. We use some Turkish words for different meaning. So false friends, for some reason, I don't know why. For instance, I said to Onat, mushtuluk is like a typical Turkish word that we use it. And usually we use mushtuluk like when you're enjoying yourself. Like I did it because of mushtuluk. But then you said that it means curiosity, right?
No. It is merak.
Sorry, merak. Yeah, we use merak.
Merak.
Sorry, mushtuluk is a good news. Yeah, merak is the thing when we enjoy. Like we did it because of merak, for enjoyment, for being bohem, But then when you say it merak in Turkish, it means curiosity, which when I compare it doesn't make sense at all. It's like we're
And mutluluk is
misusing it.
happiness, like mutluluk in
Mutluluk,
Turkish.
yeah, happiness, yeah. So
You
there
took Turkish
go.
and you couldn't get all got right. Like,
It sounds cool. Let's use it for something.
Yeah, you were talking about French a little while ago. I was talking to somebody just a few days ago, trying to persuade him that if he wants to learn another language, I like Spanish better than French. But he said there's a whole list of French words in Turkish.
yeah.
Yep.
And he also knows Arabic. I think there are somehow he said there's already 500 words I know. Reservation, internation. He said there's so many French words I already know. I might as well keep going. Yeah, that was one observation.
We were in the Louvre Museum with Dushan and our different other friends.
Louvre.
And we were looking for some place to put our bags and clothes, and I saw the vestiaire written there, and I said, "Oh, there's vestiaire," and they all like, "What is vestiaire?" How do you mean? I am in France. I am reading something, and I understand. You all must understand this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then I realized, oh, in Turkish we also have vestiaire.
absolutely. It's actually really, really useful. Yeah.
The same with German, actually. In my language, and also ex-Yugoslav languages, we were mostly part of Austro-Hungarian Empire, besides Ottoman Empire. So we had two choices, and we got a lot of German borrowed words, which are
But we were better, right?
Yeah, so to say. And I used them. Also, I had a list of myself that I made of words that I use in my language that are the same in German. And it helped me a lot to improve my general German knowledge. But it also backfired a couple of times. Again, using some words that are old-fashioned, that people don't use anymore. So I learned, like, for, the cutlery, we say Eszeig in Serbian, but it's actually Austrian one, or really archaic Austrian German. So in Germany, they don't use it. They use Besteck. I was like, okay, then I will get this off of my list. It's not useful. And similar things.
And
It's another peshkir.
and
Another
the false
peshkir,
friend things. Well, you said you saw the word vestier, but every time I see the word douche, It made me smile, right, Dushan? Because the word douche in American English, at least, is completely different than the douche.
I use it also as a pickup line for some Turkish girls. Just like I'm dushman, but actually not so. I'm friendlier guy than they said like aha dushman and so okay.
Dushman, Dushan. All right,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right,
yeah.
all right,
Just
all right.
the same the thing. And also for other languages in Europe, douche is also for shower. So meaning I should be a clean guy. So don't worry about that thing. So should be.
You don't
Does it
only use that for the girls, actually.
does
You
it
also use
work?
that for me.
Does
Can
it
I
work?
can? Why not? Why not?
When we first met, I was drunk again in the morning, and like one of the first days of the Erasmus, and he appeared on my doorstep, and he was explaining his name, like this douche, douche. I'm drunk. I'm trying to understand what he's talking about.
Just for our audience, we're not promoting alcoholism. It just happens quite often with us, just by chance.
Just
Yeah.
just by
Just by
No,
chance. Yes.
Just by accident.
that's fine.
Just by accident.
I don't know. The Reeperbahn is a fun place to hang out in
In Hamburg,
Hamburg.
yes, for sure, it is.
I didn't know anything about the Reeperbahn. I'd
Mhm.
never, I had that guidebook. I think the last time I used it when I was backpacking around Europe that summer,
Oh.
the last time I used it was with the supplement and the Italian train guy. I figured this book is worthless.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about the Reeperbahn. And I just thought, like, wow, German women find me really attractive. They keep walking up to me. Do you have a cigarette? They want to chat. Do you have a light? I'm thinking, wow, I'm really popular here. I had no idea.
What was the reason behind it? Yeah, for our
I had
audience to
no
know,
idea.
that's like a red light district of
I didn't know.
Amsterdam, but
One
in
time,
Hamburg. Yeah.
one time, I was standing near the water in Budapest, waiting for my friend Christine to come from work.
Hmm.
And while I was standing there, a girl walked up to me and started speaking German. And I said, I don't speak German. And she said, oh, English? Yeah, okay. Uh, you want sex? And I said, yeah.
Why
She
not?
said, okay, come on. And she turned to walk away, but she stopped because I didn't move. And she looked at me again, went, come on. And I said, oh, I want sex, but not with you. She was.
Yeah. As in Hungary, they usually tend to know German because again the history, but not all of them. But it's not surprising that she approached you with German because it's like the first
No.
option when it comes to foreign languages for them.
I'm definitely, she's not going to come up to me and start speaking Japanese. But you
Yeah.
said, oh, not every time you start talking German. I think you said they start talking English to you anyway, or maybe Dushan, you said that.
It happens. I mean, he also mentioned privately to us. It happens with foreigners that want to learn German and they start speaking German, and Germans see that it's not perfect. They just switch to English immediately, and it's not really helpful in the end to learn the actual language because you keep on switching to English. So
Yeah, because they
Sometimes
see like you are struggling with
struggling.
ich. Okay, what you didn't.
yeah, you're right. I go into a place and I start speaking Turkish, and right away they start talking to me in English, and I ask them, no, wait a minute, couldn't I be French or German? I mean, okay, Japanese, but because they only know English, perhaps that's probably
Yeah,
why. But I
it's
was asking,
international.
why do you?
It's lingua franca.
Why?
I mean, for most of people around the globe. So I would do
except
the
for
same.
in the tourist part of town, Sultanahmet, I mentioned, with the Blue
Ooh,
Mosque and the Hagia Sophia and
they
the
can
Topkapi
speak
Palace,
50
because
languages.
every shop, every carpet salesman, whatever language you want to, if he says to you English and you want to answer him in Swahili, it's Murat, yes, oh, yeah, somebody will know whatever language you choose. It's amazing.
It's amazing. I'm curious, how did it? I guess after years and years of sitting there, just picking it up, I guess that's how it works. Somebody should do like a special of analyzing the way how they learn so many phrases and languages over the years. Different
Yeah,
language, completely different
I
opposite.
I think it's like it's the fine thanks on you. You know,
Yeah.
if you memorize enough little blocks of things and you put them together, and that's how I do Turkish. I got these blocks. I can play with them, move them around,
Mm.
connect them, and deliver them. And they're not right, but they understand me. In
Yeah.
fact, the mistakes are, cute. I don't know, but
The same thing I do before some important meetings. You mentioned before how you like to drive the car, not to understand the engine itself. My job right now is to understand the engine because I'm in aviation industry and like okay,
you're in the
before
what?
aviation
Aviation.
aviation manufacturing, and now I need to know this in German. And before the more important meeting about some really technical stuff, I first need 5 to 10 minutes to sort my mind in German to make these blocks to prepare myself. What can happen? What can potentially be asked and stuff, and then I can start the meeting. Because if I do it just like I don't know, very spontaneous, then it will probably not be so good. But for now, maybe the future will be better. But I still need some five to
Sure.
ten minutes.
It's like dancing or like dancing. You want to learn how to play tango. Okay.
Mm,
Well, there's this step, this step, this step, this step. If you get the first four steps, you try variations of the four steps and you do them and you're smooth and you look good, even though it's only four steps. Then
yeah.
you can add a fifth and sixth step. Like martial arts, you have to learn the katas. So you have to learn all these different katas. Then you put them together
Mm,
in many limitless variations and you deliver them.
mm,
Yeah.
So it's easier for us to be able to take these blocks and deliver them than it is to understand blocks that have parts of different things. That's why it's got to be easier to speak than to understand. The Gan Elmaleh impressed me, but that was about it. I
Hmm.
didn't have too many struggles. That's the problem. I started off at the best place and went up from there without, like just being innocent. God takes care. Are you frozen? No.
No,
God
I'm.
takes God takes care of drunkards and fools. That's something I read in literature class.
Hmm.
So I figure I have double protection. Yeah, you spent a lot of time drinking when you were in Lithuania, and a lot of your stories are, yeah, I was really drunk and this, well, I just got lucky. You get drunk, some people, something happens to them, but never to you. I got lucky. So I don't have any struggles. Some of
yeah.
my comedy, I live 5 minutes away from Ilock walking.
So Jan, we talked a lot about the language. What are the other topics in your comedy that you usually tend to use as your like inspiration or theme?
Well, one of them is why Turkey is better than America.
Oh, nice. I like
Yeah, and
those.
well, Turks like that. They're very nationalistic, and I make all sorts of jokes about like a doorman in New York is very different from a doorman in Istanbul in your apartment. Doormen here do everything.
Mm,
There, they just open the door.
mm.
Here, they clean the apartment. They help you fix stuff. They do your shopping. They'll go bring you your beer. I sent my doorman to meet my drug dealer. And the hospitals are different here. In
Uh,
America, visiting hours finish at 8 o'clock at night. You got to go home. But here, you can you have somebody stay over in your room. They give a little extra bed, and you have somebody stay with you all night. So if
mm,
you live with your mom and dad, right, and you got a girlfriend, I mean, what you sneak her in through the window? I mean, you don't have any money. You can't take her to a hotel. You don't have a car. There's no back seat. I always
mm.
tell people you should go to the movies, go to the cinema. Tuesday morning, 11:30 in the morning, the very first show is some French film in the very last salon, Yeah, nobody's going to be in there. It's yours, yeah. But then I figured, forget going to the cinema. Just go to the hospital. Because they give you your private room with like a remote control TV and a remote control air conditioner, a remote control bed. It goes up and it goes down, it goes in. And if you get tired, you know what they'll do? They'll give you serum. I just think that's so much better.
What are the downsides of living in Turkey compared to US? I guess less, but do you know some?
Yeah, I missed I missed the whole opioid crisis in America. Damn, I would have been good at that.
If it's only that, then you're not missing a lot in the end.
Well, people talk about the government.
Mm.
All right. And so I don't want to get into that at all because, to be honest, in our daily life, in our routines, the government doesn't seem to have that much effect. If anything, the public transportation works and is clean and is safe. And, the police, I don't have, police never, I don't have my day-to-day life the quality of life is pretty good. If you don't think about, the bigger political picture.
In Turkey they say if you don't watch the news for a day, you will miss a lot. If you don't watch it a month, you won't miss anything.
How do you like that?
Mm-hmm. It just repeats basically the
Yeah.
same thing after 1 month. You use the whole material in 1 month, and you just do the rework again, and it's completely the same. The same thing in the Balkans. Why we consider Turkey as part of the Balkans when it's your Babylon Balkan Show is because the mentality from Slovenia, okay, at least from Croatia, but Slovenia to some extent, to Turkey is completely the same, and it comes to politics as well. No big difference. And on the time we talk about a lot of political bullshits, most of the time we have the reaction, oh, we did this back in Serbia, we did this back in Turkey 3 years ago, now they're redoing the next thing, the spin-offs, the things that are going on. It's just completely the same. They have like a playbook, all of them, and they just go one thing after another, and it's completely hilarious. They even dress the same at some point, same shirts.
I vote. I encourage people to vote. I encourage people to be active. I consider voting a dialogue, and it's everyone's responsibility to communicate. But in the end, it's the same shit, different day. Wherever you go, it's Trump, it's Viktor Orban. Boratum. It's, that's them. We just want to try to make our lives a little easier and a little better. I like living here. I don't have too many doubts.
You became natural citizen, right?
Yeah, no, I got a Turkish ID. I make jokes. I bought it at the bazaar for $50.
Orat and I talked about this. He was not sure if it's true or not.
Yeah, no. I got my Turkish citizenship
because it's easy.
It's easy.
Yeah. Well.
But it helps you, at least with the U.S. passport, it helps you go around Europe at least. Unfortunately, for Turkish citizens, it's not so
right. So I
convenient.
can't take my wife. I went to Greece a few weeks ago because a friend of mine was nearby, and we met right over the Turkish border in Greece, and I couldn't bring my wife because to apply for visas. That's them. That's a them. But it seems that there's a whole generation of us, and it's not age related. It's thinking related. That's cool. That's cool.
Do you plan to do any shows? You mentioned Berlin for Turkish audience, but do you plan to do any shows in English in rest of the Balkan area? Since I saw some bit of Serbian, you've been probably there in other Balkan countries. What is your plan about those countries?
I haven't been driving my comedy career. I've been a passenger since day one. Okay, I got myself to that open mic place, but that guy with that TV show that got famous, he asked me to do it. Somebody took a video of something and it got 3.4 million hits. It was a joke that they liked. It was the Amina Koyim joke. I don't know. They call me and ask me, are you available to appear next month on these dates? And then that just fills my calendar. I have about at least 20 shows a month. Plus I teach private lessons a few nights a week, and I was teaching during the day. And so I don't know. There's talk about organizing Tuesday Bear show in New York.
Really?
And they also mentioned Chicago and LA. I don't know about the Turks in LA.
They're new generation, most of them.
But how cool would it be for a kid from New Jersey to go to Istanbul and then come back as a guest comedian in New Jersey for the Turks that used to live where I live?
We're prodigy, son.
It's gotta be funny. And how cool
It's
to
a
have
good
them
story.
buy my plane ticket and pay for my trip to America. That'd be awesome. So I don't know what the plans are. They were talking about doing something like that next spring.
Hmm. Good
Yeah,
luck with
sure.
that.
I don't have any visa problems, so I
Maybe you'll be the
That's
first one just to break the ice, and then they'll
that could be
bring you.
funny. But I'm afraid most of my comedy evolved here, and
Mm,
so it's
hmm
very Turkish
hmm
centered.
mm.
So I would have to really sit down and think hard about how to take the concepts and some of the stories and apply them so that they're appealing to a mixed international audience in English.
At least you have audience in in Germany, in the Netherlands,
Turkish
and
audiences, yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah,
would be
in
fine.
Vienna.
Though now I'm more afraid of the Germans. So the old generation of
Don't worry,
Gerbetis
don't
are
worry.
like this, and
No,
the
no,
new
no.
generation. I don't know.
Don't worry. They're. I mean, I'll see tomorrow, but I'm sure it will be good.
Mm,
Just keep going the comedy. The more often you do, the more often you drive your car, the easier
hmm
it gets to become an autopilot kind of guy, alert
mm.
to anything that needs your attention. Um, you said you don't remember your first time. Do you remember your last time on stage?
Yeah, yeah. I have recordings this time. Also.
So when you're on stage, you have several minds. You have the you doing the talking. You have the you watching you doing the talking. The other you
Criticizing.
saying, "Oh, you forgot that part," and
Yeah.
you become schizophrenic when you're on stage. And the moments when it all gels is when it's just you. And
hmm
when you those other voices shut up for a few moments, and that's that pure pleasure that, like pure plane, you won't remember, but it's an experience.
For
hmm
sure.
So keep going, keep doing, keep exposing yourself.
What I like
Yeah.
about being on the stage, I don't feel like, oh, I'm not good, I shouldn't do it. I feel like, okay, it wasn't good, I can do better.
That's a good
Like playing
approach.
sports. Do any of you play
hmm
sports? Do you
Yes,
play anything
yes.
anymore? Did you
I,
used to play
I do gym, I do running, I do table tennis, I do basketball when I have the chance. Yeah,
basketball?
yeah,
Basketball,
yeah. I
team
love
sport,
basketball.
interactive team sport. Running, it's you.
Yeah,
Table
yeah.
tennis, well, it's you. Basketball, um, you can always, with practice, do
Mm,
better.
yeah.
hmm
You're not NBA. Nobody says you have to be Shakespeare in English either, or Jem Yilmaz or Jerry Seinfeld. You just can always go, yeah, well, I can do that better. And Dushan says he writes every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost every day when I have inspiration, but mostly at least once a day, I have at least one joke per day. Yeah, it
Wow,
comes
that's
out.
terrific.
Recently, I don't know, when I go through them at one point, like, oh, this was really bad one. I don't know what, I didn't know what I want to say with this one. Now I changed a bit. I want to know what to explain exactly what I meant by that. And after 1 month or two, when I see it, so this one, I learned this from Onat, because Onat had the same issue before. I don't know if you changed Onat, your approach to elaborate what you meant by this short note. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
after
It was like writing something really short. It's a good idea. 3 months later, you don't understand anything what you what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
what was I thinking about? Sure, sure, sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess writing, a lot of people say you should write every day. So I have pages of notes on my phone.
Mm,
Every once in a while, I'll look at them, but I'll find a few things. They stimulate other things, and suddenly it
true.
becomes a bit for
Yeah, yeah.
tonight. Yesterday it's the first day of autumn. Like autumn has just
hmm
I think, well, applause to everyone who survived the summer of 23. You
True.
know, the risks of earthquakes in Istanbul, forest fires,
Mm.
extreme heat. Tayyip Erdogan.
Mm. The
I'm not
biggest
sure we
one.
survived that one yet, though. The jury is still out. And the prices have been going crazy in Turkey
Mm.
this past. Everyone knows that. It's just how do we handle it? We don't know what to do. I mean, I said, there's been a price increase since the show started. You owe us 20 lira more for your ticket price. Pay up.
Hour to hour, it's yes,
Yeah.
it keeps on rising.
Yeah. So.
It's insane. I also wanted to ask you. You already mentioned this to Onat. What's your advice for future comedians? But as you said, just be consistent, just be persistent and consistent, and you eventually end up somewhere. You don't need to be Seinfeld. You just need to be you yourself, and that's good enough.
Yeah, but my best advice, whether you want to be a good comedian or want to be a good, better English speaker, or you want to be a good aeronautical engineer, is you want to be curious.
True.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, is a classic proverb. You can't teach somebody who doesn't want to learn, and people don't learn if they're not interested in doing. And if you're curious about it, then you'll be that one out of 100 that looks at shit and sees something funny. And
there should be a quote.
And if you're open to it, it's there for you. You don't have extra time in your busy life to, all right, it's 9 o'clock, time to write comedy. That's what Germans do, and there are not that many famous German comedians, right? Okay. But if you don't have extra time to give to this, then just bring that to the time that you have when you're waiting for the bus. When you're using a bathroom in a restaurant. When you see a couple on their first date and you can tell it's not going well, tell me you're not just, honey, look at them. Come on. That's what it is.
It's not polite, but
it's being curious. It's being open to it. But didn't Einstein say something like, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration?
Never heard of this, but it's really fascinating.
Well, then the 99% perspiration is working on writing what you thought, but that 1%, without thinking it in the first place and being open to thinking about it, then the 99%, you've got nothing to work on.
True.
And so be that 1 in 100 who is open to finding and thinking things. Curiosity. Merak. That's that word you use. Merak.
Curiosity. In Turkish present day. My language is different, but I've
you
got
said Merak.
Well, if you're curious, you will enjoy.
Enjoy. You said enjoy.
Yeah, both enjoy, be curious, and
Absolutely.
same time. Perfect.
They kind of. I can see how they evolved in meaning too.
Yeah, good thing that you.
After we're done today, Dushan, I'd like to get your information because there's that Denis Smirnov, that Russian comedian. He and his beautiful wife just moved to Belgrade, and you might find him someone interesting to know, and he might.
We'd like to have him as a guest as well.
Yeah, well, he's an established comedian.
Since he's doing in English, that will be perfect. We have lots of potential good guests, but when it comes to English, they're like, no.
Oh, no. He's been doing comedy in English, getting better and better, and he's good. And besides, you might like to know each other.
For sure. We're open-minded people, and it sounds like the guy that fits our mentality and our way of living. So,
well, you know the Belgrade comedy community, right?
Yeah.
Well, then I'm sure he's already connected. However, maybe you could.
He should be
point you in the right direction.
It should be. It's growing, but I also advise from my side, the best comedy center, or you can say community in ex-Yugoslav countries, so 6, 7, depending who you ask, is in Belgrade for sure. And my advice, when you start doing the tours and adapting to local audiences, not to Turkish audience, start in Belgrade. That would be a good jumping off
well,
position.
Thanks.
Do it also in English.
I'll make sure I'll give you a call.
Not that underline that not underline, but like undervalue the other centers like in Zagreb, Sarajevo. They're also good, but the best one is there. It's a good thing to start because they're all connected and they all see if you did it good in Belgrade, then for sure you'll be okay in other places. Yeah,
I'll keep that in mind. That's great to know.
yeah,
Thanks.
that's my advice.
So,
And
do you guys have anything else you want to talk about? Because it's
yeah,
almost 2 o'clock and the day is
yeah,
going to be a real long day.
yeah. Don't worry. Just
Okay.
a short wrap up. What's your plan for the future? You already said you want to go to US, but anything else? Personally, privately, just yeah, if you want to
No,
share.
I'm just focused on getting through the day, the week, and the month, and I'm not really
Good
looking
enough.
for. I think I really
Carpe
need to.
diem.
I need to focus on my social media presence.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time to at least take driving lessons and stop being a passenger. I think I need to take a little more proactive control over my comedy persona, and it's on my list of things to do. But
Hopefully, we'll push you
I'm
forward with this one. It's a
We will
double-edged
also add
sword.
here the links about
Yeah.
your YouTube and other social media.
Yes.
I never,
Yes.
I opened up a YouTube channel 4 years ago. I've never done anything with it. Everybody that sees me on YouTube is because other people posted on their stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm I'm anti-tech.
Mm.
I'm not low tech. I'm anti-tech, and everybody nowadays is just lost on their phones. And I so appreciate the use of the phone. But my wife had 4.5 hours of FaceTime the other day,
Oh.
and then wound up. I'm like, that's a little too much.
Mm.
I mean,
Mhm.
come on, don't tell me you've seen my comedy by watching an Instagram clip. I know you. No,
Mm.
at least Onat comes to shows, breathes the air, feels because there's a
Mm.
whole dynamic that's just
Yeah,
not there
it's
when you
different.
watch them.
Different. Yeah.
And boy, you can't watch nobody when your charge is just zero. And if there's no cell, you suddenly are left to your own devices. I have a
True.
pen and I have a piece of paper always, so that if I can't make that quick note, it's faster to write it on a piece of paper than it is on a phone. And if I lose my phone, I still have my comedy. Right now, if I lose my phone, unfortunately, there goes
Mm.
all my comedy.
Yeah.
That's not right. That's not
And
right.
if the wind blows, there goes your paper as well.
No, come
Hopefully.
on. Yeah, you
I'm
could write on
kidding.
your hand. All you need
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
pen. You could,
True.
but and so I just think we're over
Correct.
reliant on this. And
Mm.
and and if there's no electricity for 3 days, what do we do? I mean, shit
Enjoy life.
happens.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it just there's got to be a better balance. And with that said, I should be able to balance my social media presence better.
Totally agree. It's like a necessary evil. I mean, we are the digital kids, both Onat and I. And as time passes by, I see it's a double-edged sword. Like I would like to be focused more on the content itself, not on the way how to market it. But unfortunately, in the present-day ecosystem, there's no way around it. You need to also know how to market your content, and it also takes time and gets you away from the essence of being. It would be the best if we had our assistants to do it for us.
I'm
But
thinking,
hopefully, in the
I'm
future.
thinking, I'm thinking of just giving a friend of mine who's available, uh, just giving her all the passwords
Mm.
and doing it that way.
Erasing all the DMs.
I have no idea. People
Yeah, yeah.
read too many comments. It's just there got to be a balance. And
Yeah.
Agree.
besides, I tell everybody, come the revolution. Forget social media. If you don't have electricity, you're gone. That can happen very easily. I mean, there was an
Yeah.
earthquake in southeastern Turkey. Well, nobody had
Yeah.
electricity. Okay, so nobody used their phones. Nobody could cry out for help. They had to do something for themselves the best they
Mm.
could. And our whole society is so precariously built on a thin sheet of ice. And,
Yeah,
and
I
it won't
never
take
looked at
much
it
just
like
for a
this.
couple of days of no electricity. And we're panicked.
Mm.
Yeah, so we rely a little too much on the physical mechanics of our social media environment. Forget the create a new persona, be a new person. Forget all of the philosophies and controversies. You don't have electricity, you're not going to be online.
Mm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But you know, you don't need Google Translate if you know how to say Wasser, bitte. All right?
Beer with
Beer,
most people.
bitte.
For
Yeah.
some
And
people, it's
no
like water.
electricity doesn't matter to these Germans because they don't always drink cold beer anyway, right?
Yeah, true. As long as it's beer, doesn't. Yeah, not important the temperature. That's it from my side. Onat, something else from your side?
No, it was great. Thank you, John, for
Thanks for reaching out to
your
me. Thanks for
presence.
your patience because you had DM'd me, but I don't bother looking at those things very often all the time. So I
No,
Just
no
finally.
worries.
elaborated why. We understand now fully, so it's okay. No hard
Thanks. What
feelings.
can I say? I'm an old guy, but I don't know if it's. I think I got the best of both. I got what's happening today and
Mm.
what used to happen there, and somehow there's the right way, and we'll see if I'm right or wrong in the future.
Yeah, you're doing great. Yeah.
So thanks. What do we do next? Say goodbye, or no? You said stick around for a minute.
Thank you once more for your time. It was amazing.
Yeah.
We could have talked like for hours, but we have like a frame. But hopefully, in the upcoming career of yours, when you go to the US, do some tours, we would like to have you back again on our show to elaborate what was there and what happened and so on. And
Thanks.
hopefully, our audience will also enjoy. We know they'll enjoy.
Also,
Yeah.
good luck for today's show.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thanks.
And happy birthday again for your
I
wife.
have to write my set for tonight too.
Good luck with that.
Before next time you come back to Istanbul, let me know before you come, and
Okay.
I'll make sure you're on a guest list at wherever we are, and whatever.
Okay.
And,
Thank you.
and then
Thank you so much.
I'll come watch your open mic Turkish.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, cool.
Hopefully I'll
So
join
if you
as
come
well.
Berlin,
Oh yeah, no, I'll keep your number. We'll stay in touch. Besides, you have to send me a link so I could listen to or watch the final edited version of what you've come up with.
For sure.
Okay.
We'll let you know.
Sure.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you once more, Ian. Have a nice day. Good
Thanks.
luck with everything that you do in the upcoming period, and hope to
Zdravo.
see you soon.
Thanks. All right, take it easy.
Bye bye.
All right.